is 3:30, and Mr. Garvin, would you mind doing the invocation? Please.
Our Father in heaven, creator of all things, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time we can work for our people. We ask now that you bless each of us. We pray that your spirit might lead us. Bless each one here today, especially our visitors, all the workers. Forgive us for our sins. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Jody Dishon.
Here.
Chuck Hosky Jr.
Here.
Bill England.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Joe Byrd. Julia Coates.
Here.
Meredith Fraley. Here. Janelle Fulbright. Here. Don Garvin.
Here.
Frankie Hargis.
Present.
Hannah Glory Jordan.
Present.
Lee Keener. Dick Lay. Curtis Snell. David Thornton.
Present.
David Walkenstick. Kara Callahan.
Honey.
We do have a forum.
Approval minutes.
Madam Chair, I make the motion we approve all 3 sets of minutes in toto.
Second. Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we add one brief report from the Elders in Need program, which would come at the end of our reports as listed.
Okay. Elders in need at the end.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a second?
Okay. Favor.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Mrs. Swan.
I don't have any verbal report today, and you all have my written report, so I'll be happy to take any questions that you may have.
What does our contingency fund stand?
Our contingency reserve, what does it stand?
How are we doing in terms of numbers?
It is in full compliance with the law at this time,
Okay, are we over it or just in compliance?
in compliance.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mrs. Swan.
Thank you.
Mr. Slayton.
Good afternoon, Council. Be reporting on April's profitability. We had net income consolidated at $8.2 million. That was compared to a budget of $7.6. We continue to do really well overall, both in gaming and then compared to where we were this time last year. The gaming results continue to be strong. May was another record month for the month of May, and so we're pleased with those results. Historically, what happens is usually starts trending down a little bit after March. Then when we get to the hot months, people come back indoors looking for something to do, and June and July tend to be strong, and then it starts tailing a little bit in the fall and Christmas season and comes back in January through March. So there's nothing that says that that's the way it's always going to be, but historically that's what we've seen. So we think we'll have another 2 or 3 months of really strong results, and then if it follows the trend, it'll tail a little bit towards the holidays. A couple of things that I would like to report out on are projects. We plan to open Ramona on August 28th, I believe. That's about 4 days later than what we'd originally or recently thought we would do. But it should be open before the holidays. That project is coming along really nice. As I left to come here for this meeting, I got word that our Catoosa Casino piece of the construction up there has run into a 30-day delay. We had an issue that's cropped up with the switch gear, and it's going to take about 30 days to get that corrected. I don't really have the details of what happened on that, but it's going to push that opening about 30 days, at least as of 1 o'clock when I left. One of the things that I would like to share with the council is we're going to be putting together a expansion plan for recruiting for the casinos as we open them for Fort Gibson and for Ramona. And we'll be sharing that with you. Some of the preliminary things on Ramona is we're going to be hiring approximately 80 to 100 people there over the next few weeks to get ready for the August 28th opening. We will have, you'll start seeing newspaper ads as well as some radio promotions requesting people to come to job fairs and announcing what jobs will be available. We have a job fair scheduled for July the 11th at Bartlesville, one on the 18th at Ramona, one on the 24th at Bartlesville again, and another one August 8th at Ramona. The ads that we'll be putting out will list all of the jobs and how many people that in that position we'll be hiring. We're going to try to get that out to council a week from Monday. And then you'll be able to have some information to share with your people. There'll be a number on there if you know of somebody that's interested in applying. They'll be able to call that. Somebody will direct them through the application process, and there'll also be the email address as to where they can apply online. So we're trying to make it easier and get it out to everybody and keep everybody informed, and that's for Ramona. We'll do the same thing for Catoosa, and as we get closer to the opening in November for Fort Gibson, we'll do the same for that facility. And that's my report. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer those.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Slayton, I had a couple of questions about some contracts that CMB's entered into. There's a couple of individuals, and I think it already hit the papers about Kaylin Free, but there's another one, Dane Strother. But I'd like to understand what exactly they're doing for CMB.
Okay. Well, Kaylin is, it's my understanding that she's Chief Baker's legal counsel, and she spends time at his direction or on behalf of the nation on CNB matters, and she submits an invoice to us for that time, and we reimburse her for that.
Is there anyone that validates that time or looks at that? I mean, who's in charge of supervising her and making sure that we're actually getting our money's worth for what is stated on the invoices?
Well, I'll have to find out who approves the invoice, but we wouldn't know if anything at CNB about the work that she's doing. That would be in her role as his legal counsel, and we wouldn't have knowledge of what that would be.
Okay, and is that the same rate as the one she has with the government at $250 an hour, or is that a different rate?
No,
Because I think what I received didn't have a rate or a cap on it.
I can find the rate. I don't think it's a cap. I don't think it's capped.
Would you mind getting back to me in
Sure.
writing with that? And also, what does Dane Strother do for CNB?
I believe it was in April that we went out with an RFP, a request for proposal, for someone to look at how the organization buys media, does its marketing and advertising. That was posted out on One Stop. His company was the only one that answered the RFP. It was awarded a contract in the amount of $50,000 to perform those functions, and my understanding is that review is currently going on.
Okay, and what is that amount, do you know, off your head?
The contract is capped at 50.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilwoman Coates?
Yeah, Mr. Slayton, can you repeat, I'm not sure I understood that Ms. Free is being paid out of Cherokee Nation, out of CNB monies,
Yes.
but CNB does not direct her in any way at all in terms of her duties, her
That's-
jobs, anything like that.
Right.
Is that typically how CNB monies are spent in
It's
employment
not.
situations?
It's
or-
not unusual for there to be a third-party relationship. A lot of times with our our banking, like our credit lines and things, there'll be an agreement to reimburse the bank for legal expenses that they incur on our behalf. And that's the same type of arrangement that this
So
is.
she is directed by Chief Baker.
She's his chief
She
legal
is
counsel.
his
as I
general
understand,
counsel.
General counsel.
And so she does what he requests her to do in terms of legal work and so forth, we presume.
I don't know how that relationship
Yeah.
functions.
And CNB pays for it,
If it's services on behalf of CNB,
it's related to CNB.
they invoice us for that, we pay her. Yes.
But you have not verified that in fact the work is related to CNB?
Me personally?
Well, CNB, the
But there's an
board, the-
approval process that would have to go through, that
Okay.
there's a review of an invoice, and I just don't know what that
And
is.
those, who would know?
Bob Huffman, our
Okay.
chief legal counsel. Legal bills go to him for verification.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
That all?
Yes, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Slayton.
You're welcome, thank you.
This is Diane Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. We've been really busy this month. Thanks to all the support from all of you all on our move in the Taro program. One of the things that we're doing that we did jointly with C&B this past month, we're working with Stephen Bilby, Chris Moody at CNI on helping to recruit for some of their businesses, but also we're looking at some potential businesses like some call centers and we've got this Next Gen company out of Arkansas that's been working with Chris on developing their business, but at the same time, which would expand upon what a CNI is doing. And we've had several meetings with that company, and hopefully within the next 60 days, they'll be joining CNI over in Stillwell to help bring a few jobs to that area. And then as the contracts come in on the federal side of it, then that will help them to grow that business. We've had dialogue with them on a weekly basis, and we're moving in that direction to assist there. We're also bringing the state workforce and the state partners together on any kind of tax incentives that are out there for them to take advantage of. We met with Arkansas this past week. They are looking at some call centers in West Salem Springs. There are several buildings along that border that are vacant, and they're looking at some partners to come in so that we can help develop jobs for that area. Right now, we are moving some people around in our department to help with the demand. Andy Dreadfulwater, who came over through our day work program, who had worked for CNB at one time, is going to be doing a lot of the job development coordination in certain counties. And I'll be sending out information on that, but I don't have it all worked out yet. And Rob Doherty will be working on another part of the counties. And then Michelle Schaefer, who is down in Sequoia County, will just work in that one particular county since it's got one of the highest unemployment areas. And we've had meetings with those three people to start getting the groundwork, and they're going to go full steam ahead on this. Andy's already hit the ground running up in the Tulsa area. Caleb Grazier, I'd like for him to stand up. Caleb's been working in our finance office with Deborah Lack, and he's got a master's in business administration. He lives in Owasso, and he works out of our Clemmer office a couple of days a week. And we're in the process of moving him over to the Taro operation, and he will be assigned to work with John Overacker and them on the monitoring. We had meetings last week with Lacey's area, her purchasing procurement, and also Don LaBasse in his area at CNB. And I want to thank Councilwoman Fishinghawk and Councilman Lay, who just happened to be down in this area, who sat in on the meeting. We are going to be monitoring the MOAs, MOUs, consultant contracts, contracts in general, and sole sources. And then we'll be doing a quarterly report that will come back to you all in the council report that we give you all, which is on the graphs, the pie charts. And they will be reporting that. We'll be able to determine if there's specific areas where there's a lot of sole sources coming through, and we'll be able to sit down and say, why are there so many sole sources? One of the things that cropped up in one of our discussions with the CNB group had to do with the credit cards, and so they're going to be working on that aspect of it more and more. We have to develop a policy, and we have to sit down and we have to work through this, but I just wanted you all to be aware that we are moving to do that. We just don't have it in place yet, but it is coming. Also, let's see, I guess I don't need to report on this until education. Okay, any questions? Yes, we have been. Oh, and summer youth, we will have a career day over at the Job Corps Center next Tuesday for all of our summer youth kids. And I just want to say the staff have worked really hard up in the Veneta area, up in the Bartlesville, Tulsa, Claremore area, and we have a lot of participation up there, and those counselors have really worked hard. And in fact, they have several kids that are coming down for the career day, which usually we don't get that many kids coming down, but I think they're sending a bus to Bartlesville, which is the first that we've ever done. So just wanted to share that with you. Yes, sir.
Comment. At the Diversified Industrial Board meeting Monday there at CMB, they were talking about lacking machinists, Cherokee qualified machinists, and they were talking about not being able to find these Class A, and they could find maybe C Cherokees, and so instead of losing out on the contract, the dilemma they're in is they're going to have to hire non-tribal members at this time.
That is correct.
Okay, and I made a recommendation, says we really support you guys on these contracts that you're pursuing. We're not for not hiring tribal members right now, but if that's the best we can do without losing the contract, then do so. But we have talked to Diane Kelly in Career Services that maybe we can do some type of agreements and get some training going, and we talked about that early on. That's something we'd like to pursue, and we didn't want to let them off the hook of hiring non-tribal members. At this point, we didn't have much of a choice.
Thank you, Councilman Byrd, for bringing it up. Chris said, what am I going to do whenever I get hammered because we're not bringing tribal members in? And I said, well, it's probably not any different in our hospitals and our clinics. If you can't find specialists in those fields, you still have to deliver the services. And if we have a contract out there, in order for us to not be delinquent on that contract and delivering the product, you may be forced to do that until we can get people trained and get them in the pipeline. We are in discussions with Indian Capital Technology Center, Kathy Adair, who's with the Business Tech Center. Kathy is fully aware that there is a shortage, and they do have a machine program over there, and she is willing to get with Dr. Stiles, and they're going to set up a program just strictly for us to run machinists through there. One of the budget mods that went through, or it's going through, has to do with vocational training assistance. And we do have several people that will be coming through there on that. So we don't have it funded. So
Thank you, Madam Chair.
It's in the works.
And when they hire these non-Cherokees, do they hire them on a temporary status so that they know that when we get Indians trained that, or Cherokees trained, that they will, replace them?
Part of the problem you have is because there's a lack of machinists, like he said, the A-type versus the C-type. We're trying to recruit some of these people that have like so many more years before they can actually retire. If they're willing to come over there for the pay, then we're recruiting them. But we're not doing any kind of contracts like that because most of them already have lucrative jobs. It's just getting them closer to home. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Ananiak?
Good afternoon. We've been busy too. You do have a copy of my report, and I would like to point out the Art Center is going very well here in Calico. We have 2 tenants in there now, and both of them have noticed at least 100% increase in their sales just by being in the incubator in the Art Center. And we did just receive notification that we were awarded a Rural Business Enterprise grant for about $250,000, and it'll purchase equipment for artists to be able to share and use, including silk screening equipment so they can put their art on other mediums to sell it. And it will also equip a coffee shop in the Court Mall when we reopen that as a retail center for the Art Center. So I'll be happy to answer any other questions that you might have.
Questions?
Comment. Oh, congratulations. Anna just went through our leadership program and graduated the other day. I was happy to
Thank you.
see you were involved in
Yeah,
that.
thank you very
That's a good
much.
program.
It was, thank you. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I wonder if we could just briefly hear from Laura Hand from Social Services. Got a couple of questions.
Okay. Is she here for the elders in need? Yes, there she is. Yes.
Thank you. Before, I've got an email from Lisa, and I had an email from Marcia last night. Apparently, constituents of mine started calling me late last night saying we were going to have an EIM meeting in Nowata this morning at 9 o'clock. And nobody ever notified myself or Councilor Hoskin or any other councilor who may have been at the North End. These folks had no idea you were coming, or social services was coming. And so we had to do some scrambling and phone calling and emailing and trying to, I don't know if anybody showed up today or not. And so one of the things that in this email that Lisa sent me said that this was a new program, and because we didn't know how many applicants we were going to have, we didn't go north until we found out if we were going to have enough applications to where we would have. It leads me to believe you're leaving us out until you see whether or not you get the 400 applicants that you needed here locally in the Tahlequah area before you even ventured out to Veneta or Nowata or Warner or Bartlesville or some of these other locations that are a little farther out. And so we're a little upset that you didn't even tell us you were coming.
And that wasn't the intention of.
Well, I understand the excuses now, but you know, we're into it. And so I'd like to impress upon your group that Bartlesville and Veneta and Nowata and South Coffeyville and Warner and South, all these places are within the 14 counties of the Cherokee Nation. Not just Tahlequah or not just Stillwell or not just Hulbert. We're part of your group too. And for you to say in this email that you're waiting until you get all applications down here before you go up there is just, we just can't have that.
Right, right.
And now when we get these applications, I want to say one thing more. When we get these applications that are coming from here first, are they going to take precedence in line over the people now that you're finding out, you might have some folks up there? Are you going to shuffle the deck and start all over anew, or how are you going to take, it seems to me that you've got almost 100 applications here above and beyond what you had from the LIHEAP eligible. And so do they take precedence over the people you didn't go see up north?
Lisa is here, and I'm going to have her talk to you about the process that they've gone through. Because Marcia is our executive director, and she's out of pocket, so I'm here today. I'm not directly involved with that particular program, but Lisa and I have conversed, and she's explained the process to me of what they did and how they made the selection of the places they're going initially, not intending to leave anyone out. They are going to be going back and doing more outreach and providing additional opportunities, and there's still a lot of slots. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about how they did that, if that's all right. Is that agreeable? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, to date, we have had, we've mailed out 830 applications. We've had 733 returned. We have had 88 people walk in at the 5 locations. When we initially started this program, it's a new program. We haven't attempted this before at this level, other than what we've done through LIHEAP. Now, it was determined that we would go to the 5 area offices, which are Salisaw, Stillwell, Locust Grove, Jay, Tucson. I think I got all those in Tahlequah. And when we came to the committee, then council asked that we go to the other sites, which were Nowata, Bonita, Warner, and at that time we did not know how many staff we would have available at that time to assist us with taking the applications. So it was determined that we would add those as tentative locations. And
I've got to take it. I hate being called a tentative location. You're calling my people a tentative location. That's just a really big put down to people who live a little farther away. And I've got to voice my opinion on that.
okay, we had 54 LIHEAP applications from Washington, Craig, and Nowata counties, and those people were sent applications. 39 of them have mailed them in. And that was the other thing that we based it on, was the number of participants we have that were determined to be eligible for LIHEAP. So the number also was an issue, participation number.
So here again, my other question, my follow-up question to this was, you're getting applications from this local area around Tahlequah and the 5 places that you went. Will they go in front of the line of the other folks that you're now going to go see 2 weeks from now?
No, they will not.
Okay, how do you do that?
As they come in, we take applications and we try to approve them. We haven't approved that many walk-in applications yet.
But
We've
you are
approved
approving them.
slowly.
So they go in line in
And
front of the people that you're going to see 2 weeks from now.
When we sent the information in, the payments will not go out for 6 to 8 weeks. So about the time we're through with all applications and approved all applications, then the last of the applications will be going out, payments.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
that application could be from Salisaw, it could be from Warner, it could be from Stillwell. It just depends on when we approve the application, not
I
necessarily when it was
understand.
taken.
But you'll probably approve the ones that have come in before 2 weeks from today.
Generally,
Yeah.
but not necessarily.
So that's what I'm saying. We go to the back of the line on this.
Yeah, this initial mail out was mailed out to all the counties.
I understand. The initial LIHEAP eligible mail out, and that was like 800 or something like that.
830.
So you only have 400 more slots. Okay. Well, I'd appreciate it if you'd figure out a way to, here again, I'm sure that my people are going to go to the back of the line. Figure out some way to fix that for them. I appreciate it.
This was an initial, and in November, we now know what this is gonna look like and how it's gonna operate. So we know that we will be able to go ahead and set up initial sites at those locations. That's what we'll be doing.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, so in November, will you be taking, is that what I'm hearing, new applications?
Yeah. We'll do mail outs to the people who came in this time. And they'll be judged to be initially eligible. We'll mail those out, and then we'll wait and we'll go ahead and open up the walk-in process again, because as people age, they're gonna come in and be eligible for the program.
LIHEAP applications are also taken at those, 5 locations? And I think, I don't have the numbers in front of me, and it's, at the end of the day, it's some speculation, but I think what tends to happen is in my neck of the woods, and Councilman Lay's neck of the woods, Jay's maybe the closest, maybe Catoosa for some of us, and so they're not there to get the LIHEAP applications. Maybe they don't know about it because it's not an office they go to every day, so then they're not in the LIHEAP system. And then they have to drive to Jay to apply for this. So I'm glad you were Nowata, and I'm glad you are coming back, right?
Yeah, in 2 weeks we'll be back.
Yeah, that's good.
With the schedule published.
Yeah, and I think in November, Nowata is a big clinic, and a lot of Cherokees go there, but there's going to be a clinic in Bonita where a lot of Cherokees are going to go. So those are probably, even though we don't have a human services office there, I think maybe we ought to think of that as a location where you ought to maybe always have this kind of an opportunity because I'm sure they'll make space for you, and we have the nutrition center up there, so, so when my folks will tell me, well, hey, why you always come to Jay? And I'll explain to them, well, that's where the office is, but, you know, that kind of falls on, I kind of get blank stares when they say that, but boy, you got this clinic here, why can't they come here, you know? So that's kind of what way we feel up north. And if you get a scheduled meeting next time, I'm sure we'll get more folks to apply.
And we're also, if you do have constituents that can't make it or can't come in, we are doing walk-in, doing home visits to those. That's for every site.
Okay, well, that's good, thank you. Thank you.
Councilwoman Watts?
Thank you. So how successful were you in our Rogers and Johnson County area?
I don't have the breakdown, but I can get that to you.
That would be great. And I know that this is a new challenge, and it's probably a unique challenge given how it's set up. So we appreciate all the hard work you guys are putting in. Thank you.
And just one other thing, that you do anticipate having funds to be able to serve those people that do
Yes.
come in.
Lori, or Lisa, I don't know who wants to answer this question, but I perceive a concern by the council that this money might run out. Will you alert this body should you get close to not having enough money to serve the qualified applicants?
Sure, I'll let Marcia know you'd like to know that.
I would anticipate that this body might look hard for the money to make sure that all areas are covered.
Yeah.
So you'll just need to alert us if you get low on funds.
Are you still taking applications?
Yes.
And they can get it mailed to them?
Those people who were initially eligible because they received LIHEAP, they were mailed to them. All other participants that knew, they have to walk in so that we can verify that who they are. Now, we are taking applications at the offices up until Friday, and this week after will be home visits. So if you have anybody that missed it, we can still come out and do a home visit, or they can go ahead and walk in and work.
And what number would they need to call for a home visit?
For
Their
you go
local
ahead-
office or?
Local office, but you can go ahead and take my number. It's 453-5241, and I'll route the calls to the staff that'll go out.
Thank you. 5241, right?
Now, the counties, Nowata, Veneta, Bartlesville area, that was published for our initial application taken, with numbers printed so they could call in and ask for information about it. But we are scheduling those sites in 2 weeks, and that will be published in a newspaper with the date and location to come in and documents you needed. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got a question. Why don't we have a site up in like Nowata Creek, Washington?
Well, up until lately, Family Assistance, I'm not saying Cherokee Nation, but Family Assistance didn't have a specific location. Now that we have the senior nutrition site there and food distribution, we're going to use the senior nutrition program site as an office, to come up and have like regular elder advocates or family advocates there to see people.
I'm glad to hear that. Let us know when you plan on having somebody up there.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
On to consent items. First up is Taro.
Mr. Overacker's back there.
Is he not coming up?
He's asleep.
Excuse me?
Certifications, isn't it?
Yes.
You wanna
Councilwoman
present the
Watts?
certification?
Yes, everything intact as it is. I don't think we have any, we may have an issue.
Help me out in understanding why Terrapin Designs has been denied, because it looks like it's 100% Indian owned and operated. I understand that one of the employees is also an employee of Cherokee Nation. given what I've been provided and what is in this report, I'm getting conflicting answers. Why were they denied?
They were denied because when we look at the application, we have to look at who is the 51% owner and who is the 49. In this case, the 51% owner is not in the day-to-day operation of the company.
But both are federally recognized tribal citizens, right?
Correct. And that is we will have to work with this company. We cannot accept the application as it is.
So we're penalizing people because they're wealthy enough to invest more than the other person, even if they're not on the day. That's where I'm struggling if it's 100% Indian owned and operated.
Well, actually, there's 3 things that qualify for you to have a Terra certified business. 1, it has to be Indian owned, which this one is. 2, the majority Indian owner has to be in the day-to-day operation of the company. And 3, they have to control it.
I would assume that's only the case though if it's a non-Indian in the minority share position.
Well, we're crossing over now where we have to give them, are we giving them Cherokee preference or are we giving them other tribal preference?
Did we give them that option that because they're not in day-to-day, that they could come under it as an Indian-owned certified business but not Cherokee certified?
We've actually had 2 interviews with this company to try to get them to situate their company. Well, more than likely what we'll have to do is, we have to accept the application as is. The committee did not feel that this was a Cherokee-owned business ran by a Cherokee citizen. So we cannot accept their application and approve their application for a Cherokee-owned business.
One last question. So if this person was not denied because they're already an employee of the,
Correct. Terra does not deal with the Sunshine Act. That is completely out of our realm. That's with the Attorney General's office and everyone else.
okay, I just wanted to make sure all minds were clear. I guess I have another question. So do we need to table this? Or does it need to go through the denial process so that it can continue on?
It needs to go through the denial process to continue on. Again, since we're separating the Cherokee preference first compared to other Indians,
Right.
we cannot accept this application as it is. That's why it's denied.
Thank you so much for your candor and answering all my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Cemetery.
I believe y'all received a list. There were 3 cemeteries on it, Mays County and 2 in Adel County.
Make a motion, we approve this cemetery there.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It's approved. On to community assistance, Doug.
That same report, flip over, will have several community assistance projects on it. Make sure we're all on the same page. First one's Rocky Mountain, the last one's Salina Powwow.
Chair, I have an addition.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I have an addition of, for Councilman Lay and I, $520 each to Copan Public Schools for a computer.
You got that down, Shirley?
Copan Public Schools, $520 for Councilman Lay and I, $520 each. And I just sent you an email that a moment ago, Doug, so you'll have it.
Okay.
Any other additions?
1,000 Washington County Cherokee.
Washington County Cherokees?
Yep. Organization.
Is that Michelle?
Center for Tribal Studies at Northeastern, $250 each from all 3 of us, is that
Yep.
right?
Yep.
From Joe Bird, David Walkenstick, and myself. And it's to be used for travel expenses for awarded youth to the American Indian Physicians Association National Meeting.
Any others? Everything? All those in favor? All opposed? Carries. Law enforcement request.
Law enforcement request has the remaining funds for Mr. Anglin for the city of Owassa and Skytooth. Mr. Keener divided $4,203 to Talala, Chelsea, Inola, and Catoosa. And Ms. Colin Watts, $4,430 each to Claremore and Oologah. Mr. Keener and Mr. Anglin, that will deplete your balances. Ms. Colin Watts, you'll have almost $9,800 left.
Okay. David, can I address, David, do you want to add that penny to Cherokee County Sheriff's Department, you got a penny left over.
Oh,
I don't know how that happened.
every cent counts.
Yeah.
Yes, do that.
Can we make it a small amendment and add that penny to the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office?
Should I make a request of the body? If that check has already been cut?
It hadn't been. I was just looking, they haven't turned their paperwork in yet.
Okay.
Election's been going on.
Understand. We'll change that to use your
Tell us
last
for
penny.
me. How much more of that came from?
Was that all?
Just trying to clean it up for you.
All those in favor? All opposed? Carries. What are we on to, roads? Roads. 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 Do we have roads? If there is any? No, none this one? Okay. On to new business, Doug.
Thought we did.
Budget mod.
Thought we did. The email I sent you all last week that had the mods in it, did it, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a mental blank right now. Did it include a road attachment? Did anybody happen to, let me,
I didn't.
I just, yes, we have roads. Motor fuel tax, Ms. Fraley's $29,090 to the Broadway Concrete Box Project and $21,068 to 443-566 Road Project. Concord Gym Road Project for Mr. Snell, $16,390. None of those will deplete your balances. Ms. Fraley also was contributing some bridge funding for that concrete box project for $1,915.
Have y'all? All those in favor? All those opposed? I want a motion. Motion.
Make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Second by David. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Now on to the budget mod, Doug.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we just got this, and we didn't, I don't recall getting it by email, and this is extensive.
Yeah, I sent that, they were attached to the same email that the road was on.
Yesterday?
No, it was
Last week.
Thursday, I believe.
Start in, Doug.
Will it be in the book in the future, Madam Chair?
I'll try to get there.
Yeah. They normally are. This is the first time in several years I haven't made the book. And it's because I was on a CPE seminar.
Very understandable, Doug. Go ahead and start in.
Okay, mod 10. Before I get into the actual operating mod and the capital mod, CMB declared a special capital improvement dividend yesterday morning. It was received into the nation as a wire yesterday afternoon. I put before you a memo I drafted earlier this morning, today, regarding the administration's recognition of that. This short memo is, again, it's recognizing the dividend in amount of $9,242,062. It's not reflected in either one of the two mods that emailed out, but the request is of that to transfer $1.6 million to the Capital Projects Fund for the Veterans Center completion, and the remaining to the military dog. The remaining to restrict in a capital improvement reserve for $7.6 million. And I put a note in here that in the future, the funds will be appropriated for expenditure on a project basis, the same way this Veterans Center is, and will require approval and transfer by the council into the
whichever capital project this body sees fit. So that would need to be considered along with the actual mod packages for amendment. I recommend you do that because we've already received these dollars. The actual mod operating budget has $773,000 worth of grants received in the last month. The lion's share of that is a children's summer food program from USDA for nearly $1 million. Also has a Superfund EPA grant and almost $200,000 from DHHS with AOA Title VI and the Health Alliance grants carrying the share of that. The mod itself, asking for increase or decrease, is a decrease of $270,000 in net. Now the mod is about $2 million worth of increases offset by a 2.3 decrease on the HOSTA. The funding sources identified in this particular mod package starts with the general fund of $132,000. That primarily represents the vocational assistance grant that Diane Kelly just mentioned earlier. It also has a $0 impact transfer of identified in the memo that deals with the PAC fund, the Get Out the Vote fund, where the treasurer is wanting to isolate the vehicle tax funds that's coming in from the residual remaining dollars of the car tag apportionments, where a portion of those dollars, all they go to schools, roads, and law enforcement. There is a remaining amount of money that is retained by the tribe for general fund purposes. So what they're wanting to do is the political contributions coming out of the Cherokee Nation to these various candidates, we isolate the source of funds for those contributions as specifically non-gaming. So now we've got very clear and clarity in our appropriation process of the source of these dollars. That's all there is on general fund. Now, the housing proceeds of sale, the Housing Board approved a resolution 2012-18 to authorize an increase in the development of that fund of $141,000. The IHS Self-Governance Fund is a $638,000 increase in the mod, which is pertaining to Hastings facility improvement. DHHS has a Jack Brown Center carryover transfer in the mod. This is also going to be reflective in the capital budget as well, because that carryover of $669,000 is being transferred out of the mod, it's being transferred in on the capital budget, and then requesting authority in Mod 4 for capital expenditure of that facility. USDA is requesting a almost $500,000 increase, 380 of that from grant dollars, and the remaining from a cash match transfer in the food warehouse program. NAHASDA fund has the lion's share of this, more than offsetting all those increases I just mentioned by 2.3, and this is the final stages of aligning of the actual budgets to your recently approved 2012 Indian Housing Plan. And again, this will be impacted by that by that special dividend declaration I mentioned early on. So if see fit to incorporate the dividends impact, because this dividend impacts actually needs to amend both of these original submissions. Okay.
Chair, I move to approve the budget mod 4 and Doug, you say we need to, what's the language we're looking for to recognize the impact of this dividend?
And yes, and yeah, with the impact of the dividend declaration and the requested use of funds.
Second. Discussion?
Question. The special dividend, shouldn't that go on the capital mod? Because it's all capital expenditures.
Its purpose is for capital improvement projects. The only project identified right now is the Veterans Center, and as we restrict funds that have a special purpose when they come into the general fund, that capital improvement reserve is the title of it. It's just called the capital improvement reserve. That is a non-capital accounting unit, so we're leaving it there in its design purpose and restricting it by an account called reserved by appropriation. So that locks it down. Now, once capital projects that will actually be capitalized and added to our asset base, like the Veterans Center is being requested to do to finish it, those dollars then get transferred to the capital fund. And it would be included at that point in the capital mod. So we see clear visibility of each project and how much is being capitalized.
It just seems to me that since it's for capital improvements, that fund should be in the capital mod.
It's
Fund set
the-
aside
that-
so that it doesn't show in our general operating budget.
That's probably a really good suggestion for the treasurer to consider when we compile our comprehensive operating and our comprehensive capital budget that we'll be looking at here in the next month or two, to include a new accounting unit on that capital side. Yeah, it's good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was going to be my comment too. One other comment I had was, should we as a council voted for this dividend before the board put it in our account? Would that have been the prudent thing to do, or is this just like a Christmas gift from them and we accept it?
I don't see other comments.
Well, the board, okay, and I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but sources of funds come into, I believe the Constitution's exact words say, all expenditures of funds shall be provided for by law or via appropriation bill. The sources of which will come in at various times from various sources. Some will come in the form of a dividend from CMB or grant or compact. I'm not aware of any time that this body's actually took a vote to receive money. You've taken a vote or resolution to apply for grants, but with the component units autonomous board of directors, I would think that would fall under their prerogative to fund a special dividend to their shareholders.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I just want to make sure we're doing it correctly.
I believe you are.
There's a 5% dividend, though. We voted on that as a council.
That's a statutory requirement. That there's a dividend law that provides for the authority for CMB's board of directors at times they see fit to declare a special dividend. They have that legal authority to do that.
So this wasn't a special dividend?
Yes, this is a special dividend.
Okay.
Yeah, they have, there's a law on their books, and I don't recall the number, but there's a statute that enables CMB's board to declare a special dividend. From time to time, I guess, but it doesn't require a special dividend, it just allows for such.
So as a council, we did everything correctly and lawfully. And the board too.
Appears to me as though we.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I want to make sure of.
If I thought we were about to misstep, I'd have sure raised my hand.
Okay. And I do concur with Councilman Baker, we need to think about where to put that in the capital expenditure.
It is locked down, I want to make that real clear. The capital improvement reserve is a restricted accounting unit. It cannot be expended for anything. The 7.6 million, the remaining, cannot be expended for any reason whatsoever until this body doles it out project by project.
Okay. And that was a windfall from the insurance, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Madam
Councilman
Chair.
Gordon.
Call for the question.
Have a second.
Point of order, there were hands raised way before that. There's outstanding questions.
Everybody have a second?
There's a number, point of order, there's a number of council people that haven't had an opportunity to ask any questions.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I know we're running late, and rather than cut off debate, let's just limit it to a couple of minutes. Councilman Lake, you were next.
Thank you, ma'am. I wondered where the money came from, and I thought I knew. I think you and Councilor Keener ferreted that out for me. It's that insurance.
Yes.
The 1.6, is that enough to finish that building? Do we know for sure? We all want to finish that building.
That's the estimate that was provided by administration.
That's the estimate that has been provided as the most recent.
Okay, so we can finish that. And the 7.6, it's up to this council. Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Councilman Garvin?
I was just gonna ask about that 1.6 being enough for the Veterans Center, and Councilman Lay asked, so we'll keep our fingers crossed to make sure it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just to clarify, this 9 million special dividend is from the insurance money from the Snowmageddon situation that CMB received. So will that impact their business cases? Because I didn't get a chance to attend the meetings this last week. Because I remember that the financials on the rebuild were based on us receiving that money from the insurance company.
The board discussed that, and I guess they felt as though that's the amount they could declare as a special dividend. I mean,
I would
guess
like
that's
to see a
question.
review of that financials, given that we're gonna get this money, and to understand how it's gonna impact. Thank you.
Doug, if you remember, they said it would not have any impact based on the strong financials in the past 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, they are experiencing record months, last 4 or 5 months, and that, the discussion came up, was it going to impact, and they determined,
No.
I guess it wasn't. Let me make sure I understand exactly what it is you're requesting, Ms. Watson.
The revised business case, because I recall, if off the top of my head, I recall that the monies that were estimated to be received from the insurance company was part of the business case for justifying the build or rebuild in the Snowmageddon area that was impacted at Hard Rock. So if we're gonna take that $9–10 million out and we're giving it over to the tribe, which is great, how is it gonna impact the business and that original business case? Because I recall that the financials required and needed that for that business case to work.
For the actual rebuilding of the roof and the
new
facility.
The new facility with the suites in the hotel, the new gaming floor.
I would assume this, my understanding, this is business interruption money.
I hate to assume, given the fiscal responsibility that I have on this council.
I'll
so
get
I'd
you
really
a
like
clear
numbers.
detail of exactly where these funds
Okay,
are coming
thank
from.
you.
I believe they've already received funds for the actual rebuilding of the steel and the facility damage itself, but.
I would like to understand that in detail, where this money is coming from.
I think that there are separate monies, usually when there's an insurance settlement, there are separate monies for actual property damage, and then separate monies for loss of income. And I think this money is loss of income, the separate money collected with repair.
I would like that in writing to understand, and then how it impacts the business case if there was any change at all, and which money it actually was for the insurance. Thank you.
I'll make that request.
Yesterday's board meeting, they were quite clear that this money was not needed to rebuild the building. This is the business interruption or loss of income portion of the insurance. It was stated that they have a very healthy bottom line to the tune of around $100 million in cash, and that this was in no way going to impact any of their future plans. As I understand it, that's what they said at the executive board meeting yesterday.
Correct.
And those present were advisory members or advisory members that had called in, or, as I understand it, any other member of this council can also call in and listen to what takes place at those meetings. I think we're probably kind of repeating what we found out yesterday, but I'm sure Sean could write something up to clarify it.
Okay. We got a motion on the floor and it was seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, on to the next one.
Okay, the next one is the capital mark, and it has a grant actually in it, which is rare, a capital grant from the Department of Transportation, Federal Highway Administration, of $4.6 million. Capital projects fund that's been requested, the Jack Brown Center for $668,000, that's the transfer from the operating budget to carryover fund, and the Salina Dental Construction to close out that project and close the books and transfer the remaining funds into the Hastings Facility Improvement Budget. It was $38,000 of closeout costs and $47,000 remaining to be transferred. Also, this would be impacted by obviously the Veterans Center. And Mr. Baker, to your question, I just visited with the treasurer. She's okay with doing a mid-year reclass of that particular accounting unit. So we'll go ahead and move the capital improvement reserve budget and treat it as a capital accounting unit. So it won't have to be transferred out of the operating to the capital every time a project's identified.
Thank you.
Move for approval.
Second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Any announcements? The next meeting is Thursday, July 27th.
We have a group of council people that meet with CMB in the meetings, and they need to report back to the rest of us. We don't know what took place over there, and could we get that in the future, or somebody report? I think we have, how many on the board? 7 or 8?
8 of us. 8 of us.
8. If one out of that 8 would report what took place, it'd help the rest of us. Thank you.
Meeting's adjourned. Motion.
Moved.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.